because you are a chosen race. You are a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you will proclaim the wonderful things of him who called you out of darkness into this marvelous light. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Set apart and set aside and do his work and bring him glory. Come on.
I'm not trying to blend in, I'm trying to stand out. I've been set apart for greatness, it's already planned out.
Hello. Welcome to Truth Prevails. I am the host. I go by the name Truth. My real name's Ryan. Brother Jay should be coming on soon. So if you're new to the channel, we are Christians, born again Christians that have these little podcast discussions to share discussions we had with people from all different types of religions, Jehovah Witnesses, Muslims, or trying to get Brother Jay in here. But how's everybody doing today? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on when you watch this. Let's see. Sorry about that. I had to send Brother Jay the link. So, yeah, today's discussion will be focusing on some Jehovah Witnesses, the doctrine. On this channel, we talk about Hebrew Israelites, Muslims, Jehovah Witnesses, other Christians, Catholics, everything. Everything comes apart because everything is examined and we want the truth to prevail. Let me see. So Kevin the Fox, who was Kevin the Fox? Merry Christmas. I wonder what a lot of my viewers beliefs on Christmas. Some people celebrate it, some people don't. Some people believe Jesus was born on that day. A lot don't. What do you guys believe? Today we're gonna be going through some Jehovah Witness conversation I had with a witness. This part of the conversation we're talking about, should we believe in the publications? We have to kind of believe in the publications, or the witness have to believe in everything, or kind of can choose. I see a lot of witnesses not even believing in the publication. They try to defend that for themselves because they know that everyone on the outside that actually has done their research can pick apart things that are false. So it's either they believe them and try to defend that, or try to say that they're trying to defend it for themselves and they don't need the publications. Greetings, Derek. How you doing, brother? Glad you guys can make it. Should be a good show. Just waiting on Brother Jay, then we're gonna get started. I sent them the wrong link, so it's my fault. But yeah, how was everybody Thanksgiving? Hopefully everybody had a good one. Was able to spend it with their family. Hopefully. Okay, here it is. Let me see. I'm good, brother.
Hey.
My bad. I sent the wrong link.
Hey, no,
I didn't send you any link.
Yeah, I was like, okay, wait a minute. Did he forget it, or am I just being clueless? I don't know. Let me just make sure I'm not being clueless first. Hey. What it look like? Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
Hey. That's my aunt. Let me see. This is the blind man.
Derek.
You know me, I'm just excited that I can actually log on without there being any technical issues.
Praise the Lord. We're waiting for this day, right?
You know, the Lord is good. He fulfilled all the needs that I need, and I praise him. Amen. Heck yeah, man. This is awesome. Stepping into the new one.
Yeah, man, got a good conversation. This was a good conversation. I know they're gonna. Oh, well, the members have already seen it. If you're a member of the channel, could I had this video up? So, but this is gonna be good. So, yeah, you might as well just get into it.
Yeah, I'm trying.
So, like I was telling you, well, it's kind of about the publication of what they believe, and you're gonna see some hypocrisy with the witness. You know, a lot of them don't really stand on what they believe. They flip flop when it's convenient to them. Sadly, that's the truth. And it's weird that they use standards that they use for one situation that they don't use for their whole beliefs. Good evening, Monica. Hopefully, what's going on? All right, you guys ready?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me see something. All right, hold on. Let me pull it up. Let's see. All right, you can't hear that, right?
I can't hear anything right now.
All right, let me see something.
R-O-B-B-I-E. R-O-B, okay. No, that's fine. So, yes. One object.
Can you hear that?
Not as loud, not loudly.
Okay, let me see something.
Go ahead, sorry.
What did you say?
Oh, no, I was just going to tell you a little background. Just one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And, I would like to.
Is that a little better or same? You seemed like you was hearing before.
Let it play a little bit more. Let me see.
Tell you, I don't want this posted on YouTube.
It's a little bit better. Not the best, but it's better than it was a couple seconds ago.
All right, hold up. I can make it a little bit louder. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like, I don't know how it sounds sometimes. Like once, like I'm sharing my screen.
Okay.
But let me see this. Let me see this. How was that?
So, how long have you?
That's not lined up. Sorry for the inconvenience, guys.
So how long have you been a witness? Well, I was baptized, sir, as one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, there it is.
That's better?
Good. Yeah.
All right, let's do it from there.
Before I was baptized as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I went to church. I grew up in the church. I went to it's a branch of Pentecostal. No, it's a branch of the Holiness movement from the late 1800s. I think it's called it's like Holiness and Sanctified. It was churches like that. We attended that. I attended Baptist churches. I attended Methodist churches. I studied Buddhism. I studied I was even studying the occult at one time. I was interested in things like that. I studied a wide range of many different things. Yes, and but when I was 14 years old, when I was in Georgia, one of my great aunts, she was a witness, and she had a fellow sister that was there at the house, and she started witnessing to me. and I really enjoyed what I was hearing. And I was a person I always loved research, like that. So research what she said, and also what she said was very different than what I heard in the churches that I was attending. Like that, because the churches they would teach alcohol at Princeton, and they were mostly they wouldn't really teach; they would talk down to you, like that. They wouldn't really sit down and teach or have it like a discussion. It was more just teaching and preaching at you. That's how they would do it, like that. So I didn't like any of that. So when I started studying the witnesses, everything they taught was straight from the scriptures, like that. And that's what I really appreciate about it. It was straight from the Bible. And I know there's a lot of opposers out there of Jehovah's Witnesses. They claim that we changed the scripture, that we, twisted the Bible. I know I'm familiar with all those claims, like that. But I just don't see it that way from what I studied, like that. And that's just, just how it is. So,
That's what. So just to kind of jump in real quick. That's what
Mhm.
usually a witness, when they tell you they came from somewhere else.
Mhm.
Like there's usually not anything. They all this research, but it's usually not. He said it kind of too, but where they study the word and they actually saw the changes that other people what they were teaching wrong. What I
Mhm.
kind of heard from him, it was kind of like, well, he didn't like the way that I guess a normal church will kind of preach. They were talking, I guess, down at him, I guess, instead of to him.
Okay.
But it's just like that's the message. Like you don't they kind of want to hear it's a better message to someone knock on your door and tell you, hey, one day you can lay with lions and play with snakes
Mhm.
than to hear, well, you have sinned against God, and if you don't change your ways, you're gonna go to hell. So it's
Mhm.
just like, do I want my ears tickled, or
Mhm.
do I want to hear the truth?
Mhm. Yeah, you already know what that's about. People like that tickle.
Yeah, so he's like, I guess someone, I think he said his, I don't know, he said his aunt or something was saying that, and they use that's a common thing when they say, oh, I like the message that they were spreading, but was they
Mhm.
spreading the truth? Because from
Mhm.
what we know, their message is watered down,
Mhm.
so they catch you on your emotions. And supposedly he researched and he doesn't agree with the changes. Well, I guess he doesn't believe that they're significant. I guess enough that what the outsiders are saying.
Yeah. Well, even yeah. Oh, well said. I was just about to say hit the same point. It's like you tell me you've done a length of research. Okay, has how far out of this pond did you go?
Yep,
Because I mean, if you're just looking at exactly what's being spoon fed to you, you know,
exactly.
at that point, shallow puddle water
Yeah,
has more depth than your depth of research. You know.
yeah. That it really you really got to ask if they even know how to do research, because when you ask the questions, if they give you like people can give you scriptures, anyone can give you a scripture for something. Like, Hebrew Israelites would give you a scripture for something for what is sin. They're gonna tell you,
Mhm.
look at this scripture, that scripture, that scripture. So just to say, well, I received scripture for my question, you kind of have to go back and look at the context of it, what's being talked about.
Mhm.
And that's what we do with that pastor. You should be doing that, because, well, if it's not so clear,
Mhm.
if you have discernment, you should be able to say, well, that that little off, or you know.
Mhm.
Because some
Mhm.
people just hear it and just run with it. And that's what people try to get on Christians. Oh, you just listen to your pastor. You know what I mean? And you should be
Yeah.
correcting, because if you're not, that's how these cults are able to keep running, because people aren't really researching what they're being taught.
It's funny how when people utter that phrase, like, "Oh, you just repeat what your Pastor Pork Chop
Hmm.
has said." I was like, "Yo, I have a feeling like, I think there's a little bit of projection going on there." I mean, honestly, outside of what your camp, outside of your Kingdom Hall, you don't think your guys are regurgitating the same things that you guys spoon feed each other? I'm just saying. Um, I can't stand when I hear that as I mean, I think they use it as a pejorative, or some level of an ad hominem in regards to the topic, trying to score points. But it always in the back of my mind, I'm like, dude, like it's exactly what you do. Like you are literally, this is exactly what you do, but you're saying that I'm doing it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
and I heard people say that want to come to God. One of the restrictions is a pastor where they say, "Well, I don't feel like I need someone to kind of teach me. Well, like I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like I have to sit in there and kind of listen to someone." And I think they don't understand that God has given certain people different gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Certain people have that gift to kind of break the Bible down in a way to help people understand it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, the Spirit gives different gifts, and
Mm-hmm.
that person is still being held accountable by the congregation.
Mm-hmm.
The congregation still has a say. So if he's teaching something wrong, we have the ability to, what I mean, to rebuke him and correct him and
Mm-hmm.
discipline him. So it's not like that person just totally over you, does everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what
Yeah.
an unbeliever kind of doesn't understand.
Mm-hmm. True statement.
All right, so let me get back in this. Let me see.
Because I'm sure there's scholars that will agree with you, and then you would say the same thing to me. Well, I'm sure there's scholars that will agree with you. What did you say?
I wouldn't say that because there's no scholars that kind of agree with, or that agree with the Watchtower's teachings. There's scholars that agree with the Christian teachings, but there's no scholars. The Watchtower organization doesn't have scholars because higher education is frowned upon. So there are no scholars
Great point.
in the organization. So
No, so I'm talking about scholars outside. I'm talking about Bible scholars. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like Devine's expository dictionary. I'm talking about scholars like that, Bible scholars of that sort.
the same people they would call apostates and heretics. The organization would. So
Mm-hmm.
unless they're agreeing with them on some type of point. So it's like, throw out the bones, eat the meat, but throw out the bones.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
I had to correct them on that because I'm like, hold on, what are you saying? Because don't say that we have scholars that agree with your points. I think that's what he was saying. But
Yeah.
I'm glad he clarified that then they wouldn't be witnesses, and that is a big problem.
Yeah.
Because you should have witnesses. This is supposedly God's organization.
I remember somebody giving me that same response for what's my man's name? Johannes Grieber.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, why are you even listening to this cat? He's up there having seances, he's having, spiritual mediums, and I'm showing him scriptures where it's just like, we're not even supposed to be dealing with, divination. And he pulled that same excuse, like, oh, well, you can always find truth in some things. And, very similar to you said, throw out the bones, just, take the truth out of it. And I'm just like, I gave him the analogy of, okay, so according to your logic, if I dropped a um, a drop of a poison in pure water, would you still drink it? I mean, you can try to cipher it out, but I put a drop of lethal, poison into that water. Are you still going to be able to feel comfortable ciphering it out as much as possible to drink it? Or would you just say like, nah, I'm good. I don't even want to risk it. And he gave me some, sophomoric type of answer, trying to wiggle through it. But yeah, that is definitely a go-to response to justify being able to pick and choose truth as if it's an a la carte. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's the Cracker Barrel, where you can just kind of pick and choose what you want. And like, nah, homie.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. So yes, and there very well could be scholars within our organization. They could attain that type of degree before they became the Jehovah's Witnesses. So we can't really just make a blanket statement, a sweeping statement such as that. There's no scholars within Jehovah's Witnesses. Like that.
You know any of that?
Do I know any of that?
Yeah.
I never personally met a scholar, but at the same time, I can't. Okay, this is how I'll put it. I can neither confirm or deny that there are scholars within. So it could be either way, like that, and that could be with anything. If you haven't, talk to every single person in the world, you can say that. I can either confirm or deny.
I would think if the governing body knew they had someone within their reins that had that expertise, they would bring them under their wing and have them take on these projects that so many outsiders are questioning their mind. So that's why I would say it's more doubtful that they aren't, because if someone is a scholar, they should have been speaking up.
Oh well, sir. Like I said, we really don't need the scholars. Like I said, we do rely on scholarship of people that are not Jehovah's Witnesses. Our Watchtower quotes many different scholars and like that. So really, at the end of the day, there doesn't need to be scholars within Jehovah's Witnesses in order to support, what our teachings are.
I would say there needs to be, because if the Watchtower was teaching you that no one can understand the Bible unless it's given the interpretation is given by them, because they're the channel. If you're going to an outside person, a scholar that doesn't believe in organization, and you're taking their views, which are interpretation that's not coming from the governing body, that's a problem.
Not necessarily, sir, because I'm not talking about teachings that are unique to Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm talking about when we're talking about Greek language, we're talking about the Hebrew language. When we're talking about like the Greek meaning for different words. That's what I'm referring to. It's not so much the unique teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses that we look for outside support. Like that. It's specifically when we're dealing with translation, Bible versions, different Bible manuscripts. I mean, every religion is on the earth, they all refer back to those, like that. So, so that's more so what I'm talking about, not teachings that are unique to Jehovah's Witnesses. That's not what I'm saying we get support from. It's mostly dealing with just the languages of the Bible, the meaning of certain words, Greek dictionaries, Hebrew lexicons, like that. That's what I'm talking about,
And that's not true.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna let it play a little bit, because I wanted to hear how you were going to respond to that, because he blended two worlds, and definitely that was an incorrect statement. Like dealing with scholars for language and then dealing with scholars for doctrine totally blend together. They are one. The fact that you have zero. I mean, the Scotland trials showed that no one had any scholarship as it relates to being able to translate Greek or even Hebrew at that Koine Greek or Paleo Hebrew in any capacity. I think the closest one probably had like 2 years maybe of Greek. And then when tested on the stand, unable to translate. So there, in an aspect, you're dealing with scholarship of folks who can't even translate, but yet take it upon themselves to translate a whole new version of the Bible and justify these particular changes that fits their narrative, that fits their doctrine. So those two worlds blend totally together. And for him to just, that's disingenuous. I mean, just to put it mildly. You don't have to go like, oh, he just full blown deceptive, but I mean, but it's disingenuous, to say the least.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
we kind of get into that. I think I get into it in this video because when was it? I think it's Luke 23:43.
Mhm.
But it says like today, Jesus says, "Today you be with me in paradise," and they
No
try to
doubt.
say that there's other scholars and translations that agree with
Mhm.
it, and there's not. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna call them out on that. But it's just like
Okay.
no, to say that we only use those scholars outside people when it comes to the language, that doesn't make sense because if you can just look up a definition, you don't need to do it. You,
Yeah,
you
most
wouldn't you
definitely.
wouldn't need their knowledge or even their say so if you can just say the word. So
Most definitely, and to that point of that particular scripture, I'd have been like, okay, well, show me. Give me show me the justification behind any of your scholars that has a phraseology that has been said, that has been quoted from Christ, saying, verily, verily, I say to you today. Uh, where you're now putting this comma, well, there weren't any punctuations during that time, but you're changing a whole narrative
mhm.
based off of that. And in every other aspect where he used that, it's to our point. It backs our claim of what he was saying, that he didn't have to tell this person, I'm talking to you today,
Mhm.
that sometime in the future, sometime, I don't know, you'll be with me.
Mhm.
No. It wasn't the case. So again, where your scholars that's at least arguing or trying to back that particular claim. And every time they put somebody up, I don't know, they always, I mean, you look in their background and you're like, oh, wait a minute, you wasn't even a Christian to begin with. You
Yeah.
come to find out you got skeletons all in the closet. Like, wait a minute, this dude, he's denying the Trinity. This person, he's denying the deity of Christ. All these little mini variables, and these are the individuals that they're putting on pedestals and saying, hey, listen, we're going to their expertise. And then it makes a full circle. Yeah, we took off the meat, but we throw away the bones. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not supposed to be, even, listening to this cat, but
Mhm.
for purposes of backing our claim, we're gonna listen to him. I'm like, oh, okay,
Exactly.
so you're doing what you want. Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah. If you study the history, you can see it went from naming that scholar
Hmm.
to and then seeing, oh wow, people actually looking into this stuff. We gotta change that to putting
Yeah.
like dot 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 and only quoting someone like halfway,
Hmm.
then quoting, to the
Hmm.
point. And I did this say, well, commentaries have said,
Yeah.
and you kind of got to take the quote and then go find out who said it.
Oh yeah, I call it the fallacies of the ellipsis.
Yeah.
Those ellipses, dot dot dot. Man, if you go chase down any of those rabbit holes, you're gonna say,
Mhm.
"OMG, this is crazy." Where they just, mm-mm, better
Yeah.
left
So
unsaid.
they learn from their mistakes from actually, I guess, being truthful and kind of putting the information in the reader's hands to
Hmm.
try to say they're doing that, but still being deceptive and hiding certain key things at the same time.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, he tried to do a little slick one.
try to slide on you. Try to slide.
Mhm.
So okay, so is there anything within the organization that you don't agree with?
Is there anything within the organization that I don't agree with?
Yes.
At this moment, so I really can't think about off the top of my head.
Hold on, so I'm trying
No.
to see if he believes 100% in the publications.
Yeah, I'm
That's what
just
I'm kind of walking down.
I mean, like nothing, like Jehovah lives on this particular planet.
Mhm.
That's that. I mean, that's not something that I think it was called Pallades. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
Jehovah lives on Pallades. Like, you believe that? Like, oh, that's some Jehovah's Witness, the publication being what's another one? They were white supremacist sympathizers as it relates to racist practices. And I say there were sympathizers because when you would think that you would stand in the face of something as evil as white supremacy, you would think that some the children of God, those who hold the banner for God, would be like, no, this is where the buck stops. Like, we're going to face this adversity boldly, with the recognition that Christ is going to lead us and navigate us through this storm. But yet, these folks said, hey, it's not our fight to fight. You know, that was all in their publications as well. You don't agree you don't agree with that? I mean, at least the Mormons can say, okay, yeah, we we know that we said that black folks couldn't participate in the priesthood back in the 70s. That was something that we've corrected that. I'm just saying, I mean, at least they can say what they've done. I don't even want to call it improper because it was just basically unbiblical, which is if you wrap your brain around that whole thing. But anyway, at least they can admit to it. He can't find anything, not one thing. That's crazy. I mean, even down to your the roots of what is it? The great disappointment with where the whole splinter even happened, where the Watchtower even began. Man, stay alive till 75. Like,
Yeah, it's like it's either. I think every witness comes to that breaking point where it's kind of like, well, that doesn't sound right. I'm either gonna look into this or sweep it under the rug and just keep it moving, act like I didn't see it.
Yeah, that rug looked like that rug looked like a mountain right now.
If they have done their research, yeah, it should. Hold on. All right, let me know if you can still hear it at the same. Let me see something. All right.
So do you believe 100% on the Watchtower teachings?
It's a little low.
So low. I'm just gonna take it off. Let's see something. See this. All right, I got it.
100% of the Watchtower's teachings.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't call it Watchtower teachings. I would say, it's all Bible based. That's how I feel about it. And I have not came across anything where I disagree with it yet.
Okay, that's good because
I ask questions. I will ask questions, like them, but I'm not scared to ask questions. And I have asked questions, so. Yes, I'm sure you're aware because I may bring it up. But the Australian Royal Commission in Australia, I know you know about that. I've already asked my elders about that. My congregation. I'm not scared to ask the question because a lot of ones that oppose Jehovah's Witnesses claim
Was that apostate?
to ask questions. Not this person over here. I'll be the first one to ask such questions, like that. So.
Yeah, I've met a lot of witnesses, especially recently, that have said they don't believe 100%. They don't believe everything that comes from the governing body, and that's a problem, I think.
Okay. So that's for them. I can't judge their faith. I'm not their judge. I'm not their, I'm not the executioner. I'm not Romans. Paul talked about we all will stand before the judgment seat of God. When they stand before that judgment seat of God, I'm not going to be the one that's judging, and that's going to be Jehovah doing that. So I can't really speak on that and why. All I could encourage them to do is just continue to, keep testing where they're in the faith, as Paul said, and then keep reading the scriptures and keep ranking that. That's all I wouldn't judge them or condemn them or turn them in, like that. So.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I wanted to ask him that. So then, because it's funny, witnesses connect the publications, but they'll say they're Bible based.
Mm-hmm.
They always said they're Bible based, but then like Shirley used to say they're not. The people that are writing the watchtowers aren't perfect. So there could be
Mm-hmm.
errors. There could be people that's doing manipulation, so the people can follow them. So
Okay.
if someone says, "Well, why don't you follow the publications?" They kind of say like, basically, why am I not following the Bible? So they have that comparison until you can expose it to them,
Mm.
and then they want to separate it
Mm-hmm.
because they believe that everything that they believe is backed by the Bible. Too, you ask them, "Well, who's the mediator? Where does it say that? Um,
Mm-hmm.
where does it say that was stuck in God's memory?" Or
Mm.
all this crazy stuff that they believe because they can't say that. Everything that they
Mm-hmm.
believe is not backed by the Bible, or they're gonna hit you with the response that, um, you know, basically we only have what God has revealed to us now. Some things we'll find out later. I'm gonna leave that in God's hands, and I'm just gonna keep just learning. That's what they're gonna say. I'm
I
trying to keep learning. That's not something I'm focused on. That doesn't change. You know what I mean? That those type of responses,
wow.
and it shows that they don't. Everything that they believe is not backed by the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine there being something that they could use to teach them all things that have been said previously that the Lord revealed, and
Mm.
then give them discernment about things that they may have trouble on? Could you imagine if they had something like that? I wonder what they call that. What do they call that? Oh, yeah, I think it starts with an S. I don't know. I think it's the spirit. It's the spirit.
Exactly.
That's I mean, so this notion that, oh well, we keep having things revealed to us, so it's not like we made the mistake on purpose. It's
Hmm.
not like we were trying to put forth propaganda. It wasn't like we were trying to emotionally manipulate situations to gear them and lean them in the direction that makes us meaning the organization, um, have us look, you know, it placed in an authoritative position. Nah, we wouldn't do that. Yeah, well, why not?
Yeah, and that's what sucks because
Stop it.
if the publications were true, that'd be a great resource where everyone can kind of grow and be built up from,
Mm,
and especially if all Christians around the world were using it, and we would,
mm-hmm,
I guess, be in harmony. It'd be harder, I guess, with the denominations and everything. But if we had that tool where everyone can go to and have it, if it was true, it would be a great resource.
mm-hmm.
But
I'm curious. I apologize.
no, good.
No, I was about to ask, at least during the particular meetings in the kingdom halls, and they're using watchtowers as studies. How much or participation does the actual Bible itself, the physical Bible where they can flip through pages, how much is that is utilized during those particular meetings? Is it is
Hmm.
is it is it even pulled out, or is everybody 100% relying on those pamphlets where they're just using it
Yeah.
almost like a lesson plan, and you're just going
Hmm.
piece by piece? Can you
Yeah,
elaborate on that?
it's a lesson plan, like, but I guess everyone has it. It's not like you're the teacher and you're kind
Mm-hmm,
of going through your lesson plan and you're kind of going through it. Now, if
mm-hmm,
if you're at that meeting, you should have already read those scriptures. So sometimes the reader will
mm-hmm,
read them, but they might just say
mm-hmm,
John 8:38, or you know,
mm-hmm.
sometimes they read the scriptures, but it's just like it's a paragraph, and
It's
the scriptures sprinkled in there. So there's not a time where you're gonna be sitting on breaking down a whole chapter.
There it is.
You're not doing that
Mm,
there. You're gonna read the paragraph. Like, you already know what's gonna happen when you walk in there. Actually, you know what I
mhm,
mean? So that's where the participation will come in. So if someone wants to give a comment, answer one of the questions, they can answer, but it's not like a expository Bible study where your pastor's for a month breaking down a whole book, going line by line, so you can get the full context. No, it's kind of a topic, just like we kind of been looking through. It's just like that. You go in, read all the paragraphs, and leave. So someone, and that's where it's kind of like precept upon precept. That's where you kind of get the cherry picking doctrine from. Where that's why if you ask a witness, okay, break down that chapter for me. Read the next verse. It's like totally something that they never seen before, because usually they never read the whole chapter in one sitting.
There it is.
So
there it is.
Let me see. Because the publications will call them apostate if you don't agree on the entire everything that's been pushed out and dispensed. You're apostate.
Not necessarily, sir. Not necessarily. An apostate, according to our, Jehovah's Witnesses definition of apostate, is one who deviates from the faith and they actively try to get others to agree with them. But a brother and sister that disagree with a certain teaching, they're not necessarily going to be condemned as an apostate. I've never read that in any Watchtower publication ever. Now, if you have the references, please pull them up, and I will review them and look them up. But I've never ever saw that direct statement you made published in the Watchtower. I never seen it. But if you have it, please feel free to give it to me.
All right, so we're gonna see what happens when I actually try to show them. But I guess so. He's saying apostate, you have to be actively. So he's basically saying like, okay, I cannot believe in the Trinity, but I've got to just not say anything that I don't not believe in it. But if I keep going around and saying it, I'm gonna be apostate. But I guess the Shepherd's book was kind of that. But that conversation is gonna come out at some point. If you don't agree
now,
with it,
have they ever identified outside sources, those who were never part of Jehovah's Witness? They were never a Jehovah's Witness. They never got baptized, but yet they have literature that is counter to their doctrine. Has their material ever been identified as apostate literature?
There's like someone. Are you saying like, is the organization labeling it and
So
like telling
yeah,
the congregation this is apostate literature?
yeah. So I mean, we could look at anybody that's just they just haven't been associated with the organization, but yet they are putting out literature that is opposing the doctrine of Jehovah's Witnesses. Has the organization ever referred to that opposing literature as apostate literature before?
I'm not sure, but my guess would be they would have to be. I would say if they catch wind of something, especially if it's gaining traction, I think it's definitely gonna be brought up, and it'd probably be brought up in a case where it's like, brothers and sisters, we hear about this going on. Be on the watch out, be on the look for apostate stuff. So I think it gets the people's antennas up. See someone says there's a deal going around, and you see something come up, and you're looking around. Hey, you want to buy something? In your mind, you're automatically running it through. So as soon as they probably hear about it, they're thinking about what they just heard. Oh, this might be apostate. Let me not. But no, I haven't heard of like a list being like put out saying don't read this literature, but I think that has happened. I know they're banning their own books.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I just want to see if they did that to like Dr. Walter Martin. Because I know when he was, when he was on his grind, he was definitely every 2 seconds pumping out stuff that's object. I mean, everything that the Watchtower was putting out, he was objecting to it, and putting out his own, you know, for the record, literature. And I'm under the impression that they identified his works as apostate literature. But I mean,
Yeah,
I want to check. I just want to just confirm that, because
yeah.
that would negate what this dude just said.
Yeah, I went through that kind of with George because I think there's an article on the website that's saying that they don't ban literature. But in that Ralph guy, that scholar, he
Mhm.
said that they're banning my books.
Mm.
So me and George is going back and forth because they're saying, okay,
Mhm.
then like you're defending this guy,
Mhm.
and so he must be lying. So which one is true? Is he's saying that his books are banned,
Mm.
but you're saying the Watchtower doesn't ban books?
Mm. Yeah, I know. After that was posed, there was nothing but crickets. Uh,
Yeah, let me see. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I wonder if I can pull up that thing. Yes, I don't. I can't speak on it for sure. So hold up. Can I convert this to English? Let me see. Okay, yep, I found it real quick. Yeah, hold up.
okay.
Let me pull this up. Share screen. Yeah, so this was the article I was going back and forth with George about. So at the end, he says like someone wants me out as a significant person. They probably consider me a threat by excluding me. That they are simultaneously banning my books, but I think many witnesses will read them anyway. So I guess
Mhm.
he's saying by excluding them, his books are being banned. So that was
Mhm.
my question I posed to George: are
Mhm.
his books being banned? Because you're saying he's still a witness, he still believes in them.
Mhm.
But if he's believing that books are being banned, they're saying they don't ban books, and but you're kind of George is confirming what he's saying. They're gonna read them anyway, but no witness to really tell you that they're reading books that the organization doesn't want them to read.
Mhm.
Because if someone really went to a Kingdom Hall and said, "I'm reading his books. I just picked it up. Did you get it?" They definitely be sat down before they can leave.
Mhm. Bad for business.
The books he has written were also banned from reading to witnesses. Uh, really says that the news of his exclusion has already reached Greece. So, yeah, they excluded him. So, once they do that to you, the books are banned. So,
Mhm.
once they say, yeah, he's no good. Once they put that stamp on you, you can't read his books.
Yeah, there's no book clubs. There's no there's no gathering together and talking about chapter 4 or 5.
Yeah,
No.
the invite has been revoked. All right, let me pull this up.
So I can read it.
Yeah, I can give it to you right now. It's
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ooh, okay.
I'm gonna pull it up. Give me 1 second. So, well, I'll find it, but okay. Do you want to bring up your question? Were you saying I interpreted that scripture?
Oh, so Luke chapter 23, verse 43.
Yes.
Yes, I think Sister Shirley did pretty well. You know, my dear sister there, she did her best as she could do. Yes, and I felt that she can do the best that she can do. I would commend you, sir, for being very just being very how can I say, being well versed from your perspective and what you believe to be true from the scriptures. I mean, the zeal is very evident. Because in my door-to-door work, we really don't meet too many people that are that, what's the word? That well versed in the Bible, such as yourself. That's what I've observed, like that. So.
If they would have came to my door, they would say, well, "I'll be back," and they don't come back. And they don't want, that they do not want people like that. They want the people that haven't even picked up the Bible that got dust on it. That's fact. There's no arguing that. They don't like no one that kind of knows it. They don't.
They ain't looking for critical thinkers at all.
Exactly.
It does call for a lively discussion when it's done in a respectful and tactful way, like that. It doesn't turn into an argument. But, so anyway, Luke chapter 23, verse 43. Now, we have this beautiful study Bible that we just got released last year. I love it. The New World Translated Holy Scripture Study Edition. So what I'm going to do, sir, is I'm going to read directly from the study notes for that particular verse there.
So, and this is a problem. So I found out that Shirley was doing this too. So I guess there's a study Bible that literally breaks down line for line. And it's funny because I think Shirley brought this up, and I found this before he kind of went through it. So I kind of already knew what was coming, and I had a response for him. So we're gonna see that. And I didn't know that, but it really is doing all the work for him. So there's no need for the Spirit when they're breaking down verse by verse by verse. And it's like, it's sad because it's not true. It's not like it's them adding their own twist to it, and they're gonna see what he says. So he's gonna read this from the study Bible, what they're saying this verse means.
Before you went, I found it. Can I just bring it up real quick?
Oh yes. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Sorry to break.
No, that's fine.
All right, so I found the reference in the Shepherd's Manual. So so remember, he just told me if you got that source, bring it up. So let's hear his response now when I bring it up.
All right, so this is a question from the readers. This is straight from jw.org.
Okay.
So and I could send you this if you want, because I have the Shepherd. The Shepherd of the Flock. I know only elders get this. Have you seen this book?
You know what, sir? I know what the book is about. I know what I know what it is, but I'm not going to look at that because I am not going to. That's something that is for the elders' eyes only. Like that. So I'm not going to. I'm not going to go to that book. So.
Okay. Can I show you actually what it says? Because it kind of connects to what.
I really don't want to look
so
at that.
deceptive.
No, I really can't. Only because that's like I said, that's something that's for the elders, for them personally, and that's how that's their that's their guidelines for for judicial
provided by who?
No, thank you. Yeah, I'm not an elder, and so there's no need for me to see that.
What did you say?
I want to know who's. He keeps saying they. Who's providing it? Is it God providing it? Like so, So if you're telling me man is providing it, and he's saying it's for selective eyes only, dude. I mean, that's what type that. I mean, that sounds like some type of an occult. That sounds like some type of masonry. That sounds like a whole bunch of secrecy.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff that's kind of done behind closed doors and dark rooms and behind curtains. Like how more anti the character of God could it actually be as it relates to having a book that's so basically it's a book that you've never read, but yet who told you that you're unable to read it?
Oh yeah,
there's another one. Like
Mhm.
who's because honestly, you were talking real bold prior to me even bringing this thing out, and
Mhm.
now I can hear a little quiver in your voice. I'm
Yeah.
hearing a lot of stuttering going on. It's almost
Mhm.
like, yo, the principal came into the room, like, yo, everybody gotta straighten up.
Mhm.
What who put that fear in you, that apprehensiveness? Who put that in there? Because it was a
Yeah.
God. Show me the scripture where, because I know where it says, definitely, the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. I got you on that. Like, yo, that's what's up. But show me where you supposed to be having some type of, you know, biting fingernails when this particular book is brought up in the conversation and actually people want to thumb through it.
Yeah. He
Mm-mm.
basically told me, in slang terms, keep that same energy, and got mad when I did and tried to bring out the sources. And especially when the Bible says, so they're hiding stuff from us. And
Mm,
it's the Second Peter 1, and it goes, Simon Peter, a servant and apostle of Jesus Christ, to those who have obtained a faith of equal standing
mm-hmm,
with ours by the righteousness of our God and Savior Jesus Christ. So we're all equal. We
mm-hmm.
all have the same standing, equal standing, but they're telling you
Hey,
you can't
li-
read something, and they're
listen,
hiding stuff from you. You're not on the equal standing with them in God's eyes. God,
yo, mm-mm.
no.
I'm unworthy to touch that book.
Mm.
My, I'm unworthy to have my eyes grace the words on the pages of that book.
Yes, and then so remember remember that because he remember what he says, because I just wanted to read him the definition of what an apostate is from how
Mm-hmm,
they will judge him in
mm,
a judicial committee, how
mm,
the all because it kind of breaks it down in many different ways.
mm.
So I wanted him to see it, to see if his definition lined up with it. So okay, he said nope, I don't want to see that. So I show him something from the website. But remember, he said that.
Okay.
You want to see how they're judging you is to see if it's backed by the
No, not necessarily, sir, because Jehovah is the judge. I mean, he is the judge, and Paul was very clear in 1 Corinthians. He said that I judge those outside and you judge those inside. So the elders have the scriptural authority from God to judicially handle unrepentant wrongdoers in the congregation, and that's not my field. That's not my authority to do that. So I don't need to see it. So I don't need to see it. I mean, I've heard certain accusations and things, or what is supposedly said inside of it, but I have not looked into that book. So
yeah. I was trying to get it, but it's important because when it's important to get the definition of what apostasy is. So if you see here, when it's highlighted, it says approved association with Jehovah Witnesses requires accepting the entire range of the true teachings of the Bible, including those scriptural beliefs that are unique to Jehovah Witnesses. So when it says it says it requires accepting their entire. So if there is a brother and sister within the congregation that does not accept things, they're not walking in good faith and in good standing, and they would be basically about to fallen. And that's what the Shepherd book tells you. They're either fallen or they already have fallen into apostasy because they're spreading false teachings. So when a member is not getting their information in, and I have seen this firsthand, where witnesses are giving me their own interpretation of scriptures and topics and very important things, and they're not getting it from jw.org and from the governing body, and that is apostasy.
I don't. You know what, sir? I can't say that's true only because from a pioneer school meeting, there was an example given to the sister that believed that we were already in the Great Tribulation. She was a witness, and she believed we were already experiencing it. Now, but the elders did not deem her as apostatizing, only because she was not spreading it to other members of the congregation. She kept it to herself. That's what she felt was the belief. And then also, so you have to also consider that you read this statement here, but see, this is, how can I put it? This one sentence here does not apply to every single person from every single background. This is like a standard. You have to consider when the elders, I'm sure when the elders apply information from that shepherd's book, it's not a blanket. They just don't make blanket application of it. They have to there's factors that they have to consider: the person's personal background, their emotional background, their mental state. All of that has to be taken into consideration. And I know that firsthand because I've sat before the district committee.
No one's objecting that.
You understand? So I've experienced the judicial committees, and I will tell you this firsthand: they're not what opposers make them out to be, where the elders are attacking me, or they're belittling me or degrading me. My elders are very nice, and they have not done those things. But like I said, so you have to. You just can't make a blanket application of this sentence, because there's various situations and things to consider, when trying to. And also, sir, there's also a Watchtower article which was published after this, because you're pulling up one that's from 1986. There is an article that talks about for elders. It says the difference. How does it say?
Yeah. So here he said it's for elders. So he's reading something that's just for elders.
Not making a mistake of accusing someone of apostasy or a weakness. There's a difference, like that. So the elders have to be very balanced. There's sheer caution from the branch to elders when it comes to labeling someone an apostate. The elders have to be very cautious when they're dealing with a person, and those situations are very, very unique. They're isolated cases, so we cannot just use that one statement. They have to use for every single case that they deal with.
He said a mouthful there, but I wanted to point that out. I didn't catch that when he was saying that.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say, ooh, you caught him on. If you caught him on the stride, man, I'd have been like, brother, you got some good ears, bro. Yeah,
yeah, I'm so mad I caught that after, because he was kind of throwing me off, because he basically, it's kind of what people do that try to justify like abortion or something. They'll say like, oh, what if the girl was raped or something? Mm-hmm. So he's saying that this statement doesn't apply. You can't use it as a blanket statement, because the elders are gonna look into if someone's like has a mental disorder. Now, now let's take the percentage. How many people are sitting in the judicial committees and sitting in front of elders because they have mental issues? I'm pretty sure that percentage is probably below 1%. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to use that little area to try to justify. But I'm about to tell him this is from the questions from the readers. Mm-hmm. So someone wrote in about this.
But so, there's a couple of there's a lot going on. I'm still trying to figure out how what he was bringing up deters from what you stated as it relates to how the definition of how they view an apostate. Just because you have some type of preliminary way about going about keying in factors doesn't negate the fact that there is a standard. Now, if you're saying that this is isolated for a particular kingdom hall, and that potentially in other areas or other places it's different, then that's a claim that if that's what you're claiming, then you need to prove that, because I'm under the inclination that this is uniform as it relates to a standard that's applicable everywhere, and who cares if it's coming from 86, 76, 96? Show me where truth that you're supposed to be dispensing meat in due season when does this meat spoil? Does it have an expiration date? Truth has expiration date, apparently.
Yeah.
And the meat in due season could be very well gone bad. So that's the second strike. But more importantly, I'm hoping that you harped on, harped on the fact that what he is saying, it really doesn't negate what you've provided with that definition of apostate. But yeah, but it would have been a home run if you'd have caught that. Like, wait a minute, you reading something from the elders? I thought you said you don't read nothing from the elders. What's that about? What that all about? Oh man, that'd have
Yeah,
been,
I caught down the double take.
ooh, that'd have been bad for the organization business right there.
Yeah, but that's the hypocrisy. When it's good for them,
Mm,
when you're about to show something that's gonna expose their views, nah, don't do that. I don't want to see it.
mm-mm.
Well, okay. If Zoom kicks you out, because I might kick us out in a couple of minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I understand, because it's just time to do back in a little bit. So you can just click the link and it should let you back in. Or
Okay.
let me know on YouTube. But the thing is, I didn't get this from myself. I got this from an elder. So how do you interpret when it says you have to accept the entire? So when it says entire, is that all?
That's what I say all, but like I said, you can't. That's became a blanket application of this statement to every single case that's ever come before the elders. You had this factors that elders had to consider before they call someone as an apostate.
Catch him on this.
They just had to do that. I remember one time, sir. Well, the thing is that I had what was it? I had said, this is when I was first studying. I had said something that seemed like it was a little bit beyond with the teachers, that. So I was reported to the elders, rightly so, because of the friends should do that, looking at for my own spiritual health and the spiritual health. And so when I went there and I told the elder what was said, they did not come back and say, "You are an apostate. We're going to disfellowship you. How could you say this about Jehovah's Witnesses?" They did not say that. They were very loving about it. They tried to help. James talks about the elders. How is it? What'd you say?
To the anointed. That person that's like a snitch.
Okay, before I get into that, he's making it seem like as soon as they find out you don't believe something, but how you just describe it, they're gonna just come at you. And no, they're gonna sit you down and say, "Okay, well, we heard you've been saying this. This is what this is how we teach it. Do you agree with how we teach it? This indoctrination. You got to come back into this indoctrination. Do you believe how we're teaching it? And then if you say no, then you'll be kicked out. And then you're apostate. So no, that's that's how I'm saying it.
Yeah, he's trying to conflate, and he's gaslighting. You want to talk about an individual who is speaking counter to the entirety of what has been dispensed by the organization in its entirety. Doesn't matter from A to Z, right? But what he wants to talk about are the tactics that are being used to then basically pull your coattails. Now, he wants to paint this picture as if what you're trying to say is people busting through the doors like they're ICE or a Nazi regime, you know what I mean, or the vaccine passport police. I don't know if I'm looking in the future, but I'm just saying. But busting through the doors and talking about what did you say about this or that? No. We're not talking about tactics. We just need to know if someone were to speak counter to the entirety of what has been dispensed, would that be problematic? How they go about doing it, that's a whole nother conversation. Let's just stick to where we're at here. I don't need you to gaslighting. I don't need you to go down memory lane when you got your coattails pulled for whatever thing that you don't want to talk about. Like, there's no need for that. The fact of the matter is, if someone were to speak out counter to what is being dispensed, and yeah, they're not only telling their family members who are in the organization and other people, would you be identified according to this definition that's being presented as an apostate? It's that simple.
Yeah. What's up, Fabian?
Fabian in the house.
Is Mitty still there? I can't see her.
Let me get a full screen anyway.
I think it's messed up. Well, what's up, Fabian? You muted?
Yeah, I was muted. Yeah, I was muted to say hey.
Okay.
All right, man. All right. Nice. Now I'm about to bring out how you got snitched on.
No, they weren't a snitch. No, they weren't a snitch. They were, like I said, because I know those people personal. They're friends of mine. You know, it wasn't a snitch. They were looking out for my spiritual health and the spiritual health of the friends that were in that, and then that were listening in that movement. So it wasn't from trying to snitch on me or trying to tell. I know the person. I know that's not where they were coming from.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. So when you start listening to concepts and opposed to people outside the organization, or even ones that have left, ones who are disgruntled or who are angry because something happened to them and they didn't have the humility to deal with it internally, you know, they come out and they make these sweeping statements, these accusations that are just not true. They may have happened in certain congregations with certain people, but it's not how they make it out to be, where it's a blanket situation where it happens in every congregation, every judicial committee, in every kingdom hall. It's just not the way it is. So it's just
that would mean this is the article from questions of the reader, so this is going to everybody. So it has to apply to everybody. So then if you make that statement, that means that you are saying that elders handle situations differently, and that wouldn't be true because they have the shepherd of the flock. They have the kind of the outline of how they handle the situations. But this is exactly what I told the elder. I said, would I be considered an apostate if I'm a Jehovah's Witness and I say I don't agree with 100% with the publications and what the governing body says? And he gave me what the shepherd of the flock says, and then he gave me this publication. So he says pretty much you need to conform to all of it, not just some of it. So I'm taking it as this is how all elders would act, but and I would think all elders would be the same in how they handed down the qualifications of what you need to do. And this publication does say that I have to accept the entire range. So that is a blank. That would be an absolute statement. It can't be. And see if that. I wonder if that sister has said that in front of the elders, or I don't know if she said it with elders. If she would have said, "Well, I believe Jesus is God," would they let her not sit her down if she's just keeping that to herself? That doesn't make sense, because what if she goes to knocking on door to door and tell that person what she believes?
Well, so that's why I said it's a very personal situation, and I know what the elders would do in that case. And also, Jesus being God, and if we're experiencing the Great Tribulation now, are two different things, like that. So I can't compare the two teachings.
That's right. Anyway,
like I was saying, is that also, sir, that the elder you talked to, that you talked to that showed you this, I couldn't see him if they were dealing with a brother and sister that was saying something different, a little different than the organization teaches, and they found that person had bipolar disorder, they had depression, they had other emotional issues. I couldn't see them leaving that person as an apostate and kicking out the congregation. I could not see that, because they would have to consider their mental state. That's a factor. They have to consider that. So I could not see that happening. But we can go into a cyclical argument back and forth. But I'm not gonna. That's not why we're here.
So we're getting back to that verse.
That brother is deceptive.
Yeah, so you
Like,
see, he try to go back to that one rare
yeah, what is you
example,
like? Nobody.
95. He's saying like 95% of the people have mental disorders that are those are the
Listen,
only people that get called for judicial committees.
I mean, honestly, you want to harp on the dude with with the bipolar. Okay, that's what's up. I want to harp on the percentage of folks that don't have this particular disorder, and
Yeah,
I'm just curious. I mean, like, are you kidding? I mean, do you guys even keep numbers like that? Like for him to even know the percentage of folks who are bipolar in the organization? Uh,
no. I wanted to know what other publication do you have that can say that allows them, because he was like, nah, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's get back to what we were supposed to be talking about, because
mhm,
show me a publication that says that they can pick and choose. I guess he tried to allude to one that I guess the elders are supposed to use. I think I did see that before, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying, do I have to believe in everything?
mhm. Yeah.
But that's the problem. If that's just the saying, the tribulations happening now, the watchtower supposedly from what had been dispensed, it isn't happening now.
Mm,
She's teaching against the watchtower's teachings.
mhm,
And that's what it's saying. You have to believe the entire range of the true teachings, and it says including spiritual beliefs that are unique to Jehovah's Witnesses. So that is a unique Jehovah's Witness teaching that when the tribulation is going to happen, I guess in the Bible. So if she's preaching something different, she should be sat down, because
mhm,
she's going to go to someone's door and say, you know what? Yeah, we're in the tribulation now. So
mhm,
if that conversation comes up, what do you think she's going to tell them? This is what, okay, it's gonna either go two ways. This is what I believe. You know what I mean? Or she's gonna say, well, no, this is what the organization teaching, but I don't really believe in that. So are
mhm.
they really gonna have someone out there that's kind of gonna be putting doubt in their teachings?
And don't have anybody tell on her, because according to him, you know, snitches.
Mm-hmm.
you, if you know the snitch,
Yeah.
therefore they're
Yeah,
not a snitch. Like, wait, that I'm trying to connect that with. It's like he said, "Oh, they weren't snitches. I knew them." I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of how snitches go. Like, yeah, they probably know of you,
mm-hmm.
in order for them to tell on you. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I,
You knew a snitch. That's what's up.
Yeah, that's right. That's a snitch. I would have been mad because what Matthew 18 says, you go to your brother. If I
Yeah,
say, if I hear you say something crazy, okay, we get
yeah,
off the lie. We say, well, you ask me, okay, can you break that down? Like, why do you believe that?
yeah.
Um, if I just come in, he said he walked through the door. His elder said, go over there,
Yeah,
go,
like, like you
go
in
in there.
mafia style, like,
Yeah,
yo,
like go in there. We gotta
the
talk.
the
It's
the
just like,
the Don's calling for you. I'm like, wait,
mm-hmm,
what?
mm-hmm. Because the person that snitched is probably in it, like, yeah, I can't. You gonna come in there, you know? I
Uh,
hope you don't see me before they talk to him, because
trust.
yeah, I'm gonna feel some type of way for that person that snitched on me. Because you
Yeah,
could have came to me and said, "Why do you believe that?" That's not what the watchtower was saying. Like,
yeah.
you just go. So that person probably smiled in their face. Oh yeah, and then went and told the elder. Like, come
Mm-hmm.
on. That's not loving your brother. That's not correcting your brother. We're supposed to be able to correct our brothers. So that's what that is, a snitch. And that's where that is the protocol for witnesses.
Hey.
So you're saying,
Mm-mm.
yeah, no, that's a snitch. Correct me in front of me instead of going behind my back.
Yo, that's keeping it 100 right there. Wow.
What do you think, Fabian?
No, you're exactly right. I mean, you just there. He's installed all the witnesses, or mostly, not all. Maybe I should not say all, but in a way, you can argue with that. All of them are installed with some fear. I mean, they always have to, watch their p's and q's, and like that's what it's interesting now. Even witnesses that I talk to, well, now because they're slowly trying to go back to the kingdom halls little by little. But now, even when you talk to some family members, well, like I have family members, some of them are, and you see slowly, I don't know, like like with what's some like if you kind of look at what's happening around the world, not well of what this the cough is causing the people around the world to start being the government is starting to be more, you want to call it tyrannical, you want to call it, especially in Germany now. It's interesting how Germany now is starting to go kind of Germany about 50 or 70, 80 years ago. Now they're trying to, but we're not going to go down. But interesting though, if you look at that, and if you look at if you've seen those videos that the people over there in Australia, that they couldn't, like a famous video that came out this week where they were like, they were in fences and they couldn't, but that's how the witnesses are. And they're not just the witnesses, granted that, but the witnesses we're talking about right now. Of course, Catholic Church, maybe they would say the Catholic Church would argue that we're not like that, but they kind of are in a nice way. You want to soften the view of it, or the LDS, Latter-day Saints. They have a thing where you don't buck. You want to call the governing body, but in the end, you don't buck the elders. And I get it. They try to use scriptures and say what that, but in the end, it goes from the governing body. We all know it's a hierarchy. You know, it always goes from the top and the down. And so basically, you see the elders as, okay, I understand there's people, you know, different churches and there's different people, you know, as elders and different, whatever you want to call elders, are different terms they want to call them. But you give them respect. I get that. But just because of that, it doesn't mean they have to rule over you. I mean, I don't care. You can start putting out verses all you want. I know they all like to go with Hebrews, right? And they'll say, well, they're the ones you have to kind of, not, what's the famous verse in Hebrews? Was it 13 or 10? Well, the one where they always try to use the witnesses, not just the witnesses, but other churches try to use the elders, or they try to rule over you, and you have to be submissive to them. And that's one verse that, when you realize a lot of religions, not just the witnesses, use that verse, and it kind of, there's a reason why. Again, more and more, I'm kind of getting more to the idea. I don't agree, but you kind of can see when the witnesses, or just when other religions come up from a authoritative religion, why they're so upset. And the thing is, they go from scared. We come out from the, what's the first reaction? You get scared of something, and then later on you realize wait a minute, I got tricked on. I got lied to. And you can pretend, I mean, you can still love God, or that can deter. I mean, I get that. Granted, I get each person's own, but there's a reason why there's a lot of, like you say, falling away. There's a time for kind of, regrasping of what I learned, what was I taught. And that's why you have a lot of witnesses coming on here. That's what you want to call, I think, Ryan, you call them rogue witnesses. There's a reason why, because there's a something in them that says that it's not something, I can't read all their minds, but there's something that's not correct. And when you kind of talk to them, they eventually kind of speak for, and they kind of, well, not this, and not this. Because why we see so afraid, realistically, why are we so afraid about the Elder's Manual? Realistically. Now you could say, well, that's biblical. No. Show me something in the New Testament where they had a manual and so forth. But why was he so scared? Even I like the way he said it, because he has a nice voice. No, sir. I don't want to. And you're like, I could just see you go over there.
I'm like, what?
But realistically, if someone says like something interesting, again, when you're afraid of something, even because I always remember when I had to restudy, because again, I was never a baptized witness, but when I had a study about 10 years ago, about 6-7 years ago, and they kind of knew that I thought the religion was kind of, I'm being very nice and being very Christian-like, but they already knew I was kind of thought the religion was kind of nonsense and more so, but they knew something was kind of unique with me, because I purposely, and that was me, because I like to kind of troll the witnesses. I ain't gonna lie. And when they used to come over to stay with me, I used to have purposely, and reason, I'm not gonna lie, within that week, I would get like a 1965 Awake, a whole thing even with the blue binder. So it's like the original prints, like the blue binder we used to put in there. And I purposely put it right there on the table. And I would say, "Oh, you want to see?" And I didn't try to. It's not a gotcha, but I did kind of try to troll them. So I'm not gonna lie. But I did. But I used to just ask them, because I could say you could try to say witnesses like, oh, I'm gonna try to get you a gotcha moment. No, I just kind of opened the magazine. Oh, you want to look at just look at them. I didn't say purposely, and I really wasn't. I promise. I promise. I wasn't trying to get it, but I just want to say, you want to just look at it. Just look at it. I mean, it's kind of cool. If you had an old magazine 50, 60 years, 70 years ago, you want, oh, that's cool, or anything. You want to just look at it. But they're like, no, thanks. I don't want. I'm like, you're sure? After the Bible study we had, or supposedly the Bible study we had, I go, do you want to please look at it? No. I'm like, is there a reason why? I mean, we have time. I mean, we're talking right here. I mean, you're not. No, really, I'm not saying you're not trying to get up and leave. Because like, oh, we have something to do. No, we were talking for about an hour, dude. I'm not asking you to read the whole thing. Can you just? Nah, it's okay. I'm like, there's a reason. Again, I can't read his mind, but you could just, if anything with you, like, oh, can you see that? Okay. It's like with the witnesses, like seriously, it can remind me of that. I could have had that, or I could have had, how. You perhaps you go to a store, to the Dollar Tree or whatever, and you see some people around that. Now it's Christmas time, so they give you like a pamphlet of December 5th. You want to, or back maybe when a couple years ago before the whole coof, back when they used to give you a thing. Hey, can you want to meet up at in December 25th or at your local church and celebrate blah blah blah. You see people giving out little, so hey, the church, it's December. You want to celebrate. The witnesses, if you were like, because I used to be with my mom and she was a witness, not really a diehard witness, but when they used to give like a thing when I was a kid, she's, oh, no, thank you. No, like just like that. But that's how they kind of treat their magazines, the old past ones. And when you have to have a list, I always go with that. You have to have a list. I mean, we have a list of where, I mean, you probably know, right? Where you have a list. Oh, basically, this list. Oh, that no more. That book, all the list that's in the list here, get rid of it from your library. Wouldn't that kind of like why?
Yeah.
First of all, if I was still a witness, I would try to sell them to get some money back. But that's just me. But that's here nor there. But either way, but I every time that I go, because I'm always at Goodwills, because I always like to go to Goodwills. I recently went to a Goodwill, and I always go there once every week. And recently I went to there. They didn't have it last week. Now they have about, I'm not gonna lie, I should have took a picture of it, about 25 to 30 of some Bible teaching books, some of the Bible knowledge books. They had a whole list. I'm like, oh, they wasn't here last week. So either this is just me thinking, oh, either someone unfortunately passed away, either that, or someone decided to leave the religion. I mean, whether there are options are, I mean, they're not, or the witnesses got the list and like, I'm just gonna get rid of this book. Woohoo!
Yeah.
But I should go.
Yeah. So, no, I agree. I looked up Matthew 18, which should be our model for correcting our brothers and sisters. So, Matthew 18, verse 15, it says, "If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother." So the person that snitched on him, they just skipped this whole step. They didn't want to go directly to him to see if that person, I guess, would repent to, I guess, about the teachings they were doing. Well, I guess the teaching that he was spreading. In verse 16, but if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. So that person skipped that step too. They didn't go right to him, and they didn't bring no one else. In verse 17, if he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen to even the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. So kind of went to verse 17 and kind of just said, hey, elders, go get him. When that person, that's how you stop gossip. Because some people, you might not say something, and then you be talking to someone else, and but I won't believe what Jason said to me the other day, and then now you just tainted that person's view on you, and something that could have just been corrected in the first place.
No doubt.
And it kind of and that's forgiveness. That's between you and that person. Is gone. Is done. No one needs to know about it. No one's view on you needs to be tainted on a mistake that you made. If it is a true mistake, because even that person could be wrong on what the true teaching is.
Yeah, I mean, you could be having a bipolar episode. You never know.
Yeah.
But Ryan, you're. I'm not sure you didn't read that verse. I mean, Ryan, are you trying to be fake news here? Did you not read that verse correctly? Because I'm not sure if you know this, or maybe again you're just trying to spread lies here by the witnesses. But I'm joking here. But you know how many times maybe that verse should have brackets in there when you go back and talk to the two or three witnesses, or sorry, two or three the witnesses or the elders. You should say in there you can't have no cell phones. You know, you've seen those clips of when the witnesses go back there to go to the either to get talked to. They ask the people, can you please put your cell phone? Can you take your cell phone and put it like in a box? No, that's actually happened. No, not with the sorry, not the meeting.
Nah.
When they go back there, like here, when they go back there and say, hey, we need to talk, can you stay after? Because we need 2 elders or 3 elders. We need to talk back to you. Either before they gonna cut you from the witnesses. Even when they talk to you, we're gonna need you now. Cab, you can have your cell phone. Now hold on a second. Let's be realistically. If someone told you, I don't care if a Christian brother, I don't care what kind of brother said, or whatever brother said, or even the police technically, like, well, we need you to put your thing here. Like you'll be like, excuse me.
That makes you want to do it.
No. Well,
when they tell you that, you know something about that happened to you.
And also, I'll be like, no. I'll be like, no. I'll be like, first of all, don't even try to pull a verse out of your. I don't want to say your butts, but don't even try to pull a verse out of your butt and say you can't have your cell phone because you can carry that and nicely back that off and just return back and then return that back to your sender because that's not true.
I know what you're saying.
but you know what I'm saying. I'm saying very nicely though because that's but nice. If someone told you that right now, someone said, "Hey, we can't have your cell phone here." I'm like, "Oh, can I take some notes?" No. Wait a minute. You have 3 people here. We're not taking it to the church, or I know they don't like church, congregation, assembly, whatever the real word you want to use, assembly. Okay. Why are we not? No. You understand here? We're going to do here. We're going to shut the door. And that was the best part with my mom, because when my mom, when she never left the witnesses thing, but when I started to go with her about 8 years ago to really go back there, and she didn't really go back every day or not every meeting, whatever, but she went back there and they purposely, I swear, they said, can you please stay? One of the time that they knew that I wanted to, I guess, try to study or whatever. And so they asked, oh, can you please stay over after the meeting's finished? Because we want to talk to my mom, not to me, but to my mom, because supposedly, I guess we were going to the Spanish before and not going to the English. So they want to talk to her for some reason. And I was like, I'm kind of vocal, whatever, and I'll disagree and I'll say it hopefully in a friendly way. But I would say things more not a friendly way, but that's for here nor there. But I was like, what? I was like saying, what the heck are they doing? Oh, we're gonna go back. So they went back there, and they said, oh, you can't come back there with her, Fabian. I'm like, is she in trouble? What's going on? I mean, I kind of knew what was going on, but even my mom, who was not a very diehard witness, but even she was like, I was slowly kind of, in a nice way, kind of throwing like a little, you want to call it truth bombs, you want to call it truth information, and she was like, yeah. She would. The great thing about my mom, because she was never really, you want to call it a diehard witness, she never really was like a, like this guy. Oh, she was very open up for discussion. And she knew deep down she didn't agree, and she was very vocal too when she didn't agree with the elders. So she was kind of always not the rah for everything they said. So when she went back there, I literally was waiting because it was the meetings at 7:30, 7 o'clock, and they got out at 8:30. And usually we didn't eat before because I usually came out of work, whatever, and we went straight to there. So I didn't really eat, and I was kind of hungry. I was like, dude, I really don't care what they're doing back there. I'm gonna lie, I want to go get some food. Come on. I mean, realistically, I'm not playing. Come on, I'm very truthful, and people think I'm very funny because I'm like, come on, let's go in, hurry up and go. And it was like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and I purposely was kind of right back by the door, kind of like trying to listen to it. And even my mom got really upset because they went back there and they asked her. I go, Mom, can you tell me? She's like, oh yeah, I'll tell you. She's like, I was really upset because they asked her a bunch of questions about why she wanted to switch from Spanish to the English, and they asked her this. They even kind of insinuates like, oh, that's your boy, or that boy. I mean, I'm not boy, but they're like, I'm kind of short, but they're like that boy there, or that man right there. He's like, that's your son, right? And she's like, yeah, because I'm the only son, the only child. And she's like, yeah. She's like, oh, okay. That's your son? She's like, yes. What are you trying to say? And realistically, I swear. And she told the story many times to. And the thing about my mom, when she got mad, she would tell this to because supposedly my aunt wasn't supposedly the anointed. Supposedly, again, I say supposedly.
Mhm.
So she would actually. My mom was such a funny person that she would say that story upsetly every time she would retell it. She would say it with like kind of anger and kind of like because she didn't like the way they were implying a lot of many things. And they were just trying to talk to her like, oh, well, why are you doing this? And your son and this, and like, have you been smoking? Because they were trying to say like all those years, and she's like, what are you talking about? Why didn't you ask them because that was the same building that we were going to Spanish. It was just a different day, So she's like, and you know how they have to have, now we're talking about cards, you know how they have all your timesheets or whatever, and they keep track of all your timesheets. She's like, why don't you ask them about, so it's almost like a job. Why don't you ask them about my resume, like what I do? She's like, oh, we want to ask you. And my mom's like, oh my goodness. And after she came out, we went to go eat Taco Bell, and then she was like, Ma. And I purposely, because I always like to kind of rile up my mom too. I rile up everyone. I don't care who it is, my mom or my dad. And I go, Ma, will you like that? Like, huh? Isn't that kind of interesting? They would say that to you. And she kind of knew why I was saying. She's like, why are you saying that, son? I'm like, I don't know. Just isn't that kind of odd? It's like, yeah. And she would get upset about that. And later on in life, up until when she passed away recently, she would always. Okay. Well, she passed away a year and a half ago, but I didn't really mention her just because that's just the way I am. But the point is, even to the time, she was very, very. I admit it. She never left the witnesses, but she didn't believe the stuff that she believed in. And I was teaching her many stuff, and every time they would talk to my mom, I think they could tell my mom didn't believe this nonsense. And a lot of the stuff that I'm not gonna lie, some of the stuff I did was imply and drop seeds, but a lot of the stuff was because she opened up her eyes and realized what was going on. And that's why I think that this whole thing, I'm not sure if you heard about, have you watched some of Watchtower Examination's current videos?
No, I haven't.
Oh, because apparently even I know some people maybe later on in discourse later on in the chats maybe don't. John Cedars, I appreciate John Cedars, even though I know he's an atheist, whatever. That's whatever. But I appreciate the things he does, whatever and stuff. Again, I don't agree with everything, but I agree with that. But the recent videos that they're doing, they're even changing some of the teachings about how now. It's so funny now when we talk about it. You're gonna laugh. You know how supposedly when you come back, supposedly in their version after paradise, when you come back, or you're gonna be judged after what you do in the second, basically in the second thousand years, right? Now they're saying, well, not really, because guess what? Guess what verse they do, right? They're going to go back to Matthew 25 and the sheep and goats. I think that was the verse that we talked about with what's the name, the JW, about what you did. He didn't say about 1,000 years, like what you did. If you did good or bad. So like they're like, oh, now we're saying it counts for what you did in your life currently. And then Watchtower Examination and John Cedars, Watchtower Examination was kind of reviewing John Cedars' video of reviewing of the JW stuff, and so he's like, wait a minute, isn't that what almost every other religion has been teaching for the last, you want to go with 150 years since the JW's been around? That we're going to be what we're doing now, not about supposed to be the 1,000 years, which where there's nothing in the verses that say that in Revelations, but that's how they think about it now.
And I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, you have to check out Watchtower Examination's video. It's better to watch his videos than watch the nonsense of the JW, because recently they just had their yearly convention, when they get together in the New Light. So,
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, it's Examination's last current couple of videos he's been doing.
Amen. No, so I just went on JW.org and try to find some snitching articles. What should you do?
That should be a t-shirt, homie.
Yeah, so when we read Matthew 18, the kind of the outline, I guess they have an article from 2008, so it's fairly recent. Young people ask, "Should I tell on my friend?" So I guess it's one example. A young Christian named Susan found out that her friend, also a Christian, had a web page that contained sexual suggested photos and music with explicit lyrics. So I guess, and so what she chose to do after giving the matter some thought, Susan decided to talk to her friend's parents. It was scary, she says, because they're also good friends of mine. It was so hard to tell them. I started to cry. So she didn't do the right thing. She should have went. She should have went to the girl. That could have been something that was done before she became a Christian.
Yeah.
Just get that person's explanation.
Yeah.
Because what Matthew was saying, Matthew 18 says, if he listens, you have gained your brother. So, it's not to report that that person did something wrong. You should be trying to restore your brother. So see if they will listen, not to report that they did something, but where's their heart at now? And I think that's where they get it wrong. So they got that situation wrong. That's not the right thing to do.
That's that see something, say something.
Yeah. So a real friend would not turn a blind eye to unchristian conduct. So no, she should never went to her parents. That's more embarrassing than. So then there's another situation. James mentioned that the outset of the article. Oh, so he heard that his good friend had used drugs at a party. What would you do if you were James? How might you determine if you have heard is the truth? So what James chose to do at first, James pretended that he had heard nothing and knew nothing. Then he says, then my conscience started to bother me. He says, I knew that I had to confront my friend about the matter. So, so I guess so James' friend admitted that he had indeed taken drugs at a party, but then he begged James not to tell anyone about it. So James wanted to do what was right, but he wanted his friend to do the right thing as well. So he told his friend that he would give him 1 week to report the matter to the elders in his congregation. If he did not do so, then James will report it himself. Do you think? Well, what James did was fair. Why not? It's not. So once again, they're reporting on that you did something instead of where your heart is currently. Jesus said, if he listens, you have gained your brother. So what did that friend do? So his friend admitted that he had taken drugs and he begged him, do not tell anyone. That's gaining your brother back. If I go to my friends and say, listen, we're Christians, we can't do that. You're a new creation in Christ. You can't. Look what you're showing the world. If you're showing the world you're the same person, they're not going to come to Christ because most people, you might be the only Christ-like person in their life. So you can't do that. If that person says, you know what? Yeah, I did that. I'm sorry. I understand where you're coming from. That's between you. So James heard that and still went and snitched on him. That's not biblical.
Well, also too, if you look at that verse, they're putting it. This is about even with some. The verse says in there, if he sins against you. Wait a minute. Okay, let's be honest here. Okay, and this is where we have to take kind of personal responsibility. This is where I believe, again, doesn't hold to everyone though. Some people can even some Christians too can debate this too. Say some language, some people I know. So some Christians I know, some of my friends say some cussing words are not as bad as. And there's some verses they try to put, and there's some technically they might have some kind of context of what cussing was back then and now, but that's here nor there. The point is though, look what they said. They said if you heard someone did drugs, let's pretend that. So if I heard, wait a minute. So you didn't see the person do it.
Yes, gossip.
See. So wait a minute. So how would you not go to the person? Let's be realistically. If your best friend, you said someone said, you know what, that guy, your best friend, yeah, I heard he went to a party and they were doing all sorts of stuff. Okay,
Mhm.
What are you going to take that as? Wait a minute, interesting. I thought we were supposed to get evidence and supposed to be witnesses and so forth. How are we going to know just that? Oh, let me go tell somebody
Mhm.
what you don't even know. Interesting. I mean,
Mm.
also in my spare time, I kind of like to also kind of dabble into legal affairs and law and stuff. I have a lot of law books too.
Okay.
I'm not a lawyer, but I like to think I am, but not. But all and so forth. All these things, especially all these court cases now, it's happening last month, at the end of this year. But all these cases too. But what the point is, why would you tell if you heard something about that? Wouldn't that be kind of like hearsay?
It is
realistically,
hearsay.
it
That
is
is
very much
hearsay.
hearsay. I mean, very nice, but I'm just saying,
Mhm.
would that like that? And you're gonna make a big deal about that? First of all, you even know. Go to the person, ask him about this. Is this happening? And he's like, well, no, okay. But if you didn't see the person do this, then why
Mhm.
would you make it into a deal like that? But this is what they do. They installed the fear of the witnesses. Well, they get you with little. Oh, if you do music, if you do this, oh, guess what comes from that? If you listen to someone on Dateline talking about the organization, if you hear about that, and they talk
Mhm.
about that, you see where the mind trickery comes in. Then wait a minute, if you hear that,
Mhm.
then we're gonna talk about. Then we're gonna come up to you and say, you know what? Did you do this? Well, yeah, I watched it. What do you feel about that? I don't know. I like to watch Dateline or 2020 or whatever. I don't know what. I don't know. I mean, sometimes they talk about the LDS. Sometimes they talk about Catholic Church, about different religions. And sometimes it's not even about the religion. It's just they happen to mention that person was a Jehovah's Witness. So what's the big deal? What do you think about that? I don't know. Whatever. The guy that did something committed murder. Okay, that's crappy. Uh oh.
Mhm.
Then they start gossiping about you, and then they
Mm.
tell the elders. So you see how the mind trickery comes in because they just want to
Mhm.
get you with that and say they want you always to have on guard. Well, again, maybe not everyone here will agree. I watch a lot of movies. I have a lot of movies from action category, comedy category. Some people, I know a lot of Christians that we're friends, whatever. They watch all kinds of action movies or whatever, from R-rated to whatever. Again, like you mentioned too, Ryan, about the Christmas thing. There's different people that have different things about the Christmas thing. There's some
Yeah.
that believe that, well, even some different religions of my friends don't believe that Jesus was born on that day, but okay. But some of them, even them, they don't believe in to celebrate Christmas. Okay, fine.
Mhm.
More power to them. If they don't want to do it, don't do it. If people don't want to do it, do it. But once you say, "Oh, what this is evil," because what the witnesses would say that, right? It's evil because this and because it's this. But once you good that you do that, like, wait a minute, are you actually worshiping like whatever? Even they want to say it's based supposedly their version. It's based on a pagan thing, and you're showing this.
Mhm.
But are you actually worshiping that? They don't cut.
Mhm.
They don't cut to the. They want to just clutter with, well, you're worshiping a pagan thing. Okay, like, right. I'm not sure. Maybe you, because you have child. Maybe you do Halloween. Again, that's up to you. If you do or don't. I'm not saying I do or don't. But if you want to do Halloween, okay, well, that's a celebration. Are you actually celebrating that? Or are you just wearing a costume? So again, each person want to do that. Let them be their own personal in their conscience, and that's what's up with them. But the witnesses say it's evil. Don't do it. And
Yeah.
if someone that does it, then you're going to be snitched on.
Yeah, they make it absolute about it, and yeah, my big thing is, like you said, it's on your conscience. Yeah, so even with the cursing, I think it really depends on um how that person is using it. But I think because that's a big problem with music, because there's even Christian artists that will use it in music, and that's where it's kind of tough for me personally because it's just like I like to share a lot. I'm huge on music, so I share a lot of music with unbelievers, Christian music. So it's just like if you're cursing, like the light's on us more than anything else. So I can't share anything if someone's gonna come back and say, well, "Why is he cursing?
Mhm.
I thought you're not supposed to curse." Um, but I think it's on the conscience and how that person is using it. So, and I think it's a lot on. I wouldn't say I don't know about culture because say if I use a word But I think it depends who you're around. If you're around someone that really bothers, I guess don't use the word. And if you're not using it in a degrading sense, and that person understands that, then yeah, like, you know. But I think it's hard with music.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
You broke up. What'd you say?
I said, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think is a little bit what we kind of spoke about last time. You know, it sounds like we're talking about actions, and those, to me, those actions would be considered the works. And again, who do they profit? And those works profit man. And this is the reason why, you know, your actions would then could dictate or deter someone away. So you know, I mean, to be mindful of the situation, I think that's where the spirit discerns. And you know, when you start breaking down conscience, yeah, it is, it, you know, to that person, it's going to be seen as a sin. It's going to conflict them. And then you kind of move forward accordingly as the spirit leads you into that direction. So like I'm big on that with my cousin. So my cousin, I mean, a phenomenal lyricist, phenomenal, you know. And every time he, you know, he gets you know, brought in and featured on other people's you know, tracks. I mean, uh, murders the beat. He does I mean, does his thing, right? And I'm like, and I'm hearing the guys that he's on with, and they, I mean, like no filter, zero, you know, just letting it loose, letting it fly, you know, expletives, 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 right? So I'm like, all right, I'm waiting for my cousin to kind of step up. I'm getting ready, getting the edge of my seat, ready to hear him drop these little, you know, hot lines. I mean, he has these hot lines. He had one, I'll give you an example. He says, "I'm giving you food for thought. Get your silverware. And, you know, if you don't want to take it, you know, take it on the road like Tupperware." Like, you know, he's, so I mean, like he's just gifted. And then I hear him, you know, I think because he's in the booth, he winds up letting one loose, and I'm like, I wish you could just show them that the difference between you know, being a lyricist who can just let the expletives fly, to just you know, or I should say being a rapper allowing expletives to fly, and being a lyricist and a true craftsman in your art, where, you know what, I command the English language. I command the language. And for this, and because I have this gift that God has given me, there's no need to indulge in the sewer pipelines, because that's like, you know, for the most part, folks indulge in it because they lack the vocabulary. But this dude is a walking vocabulary. I mean, it's a walking dictionary. So I'm kind of, you know, I you know, I kind of pull his coattails. You know, I'm not going to snitch straight to the to the elders, like, yo, did you hear what Mr. Ruben Smooth was talking about?
Yeah,
No,
press
you
play.
know, yeah, you know.
Put this
But
headphone in.
I'm just telling him, like, listen, you know, he said, yeah, I know sometimes. I say, I get you, man. I said, just do me this. I said, just do me this solid. If you, you know, if you find yourself in that position where you do let one loose, be like, all right, just, and you know, and that's the one they have, just ask them. And you and you know, really can just say, yo, you know, I don't mind having that version, but let me also let me give me a clean version as well. You know, I just want to do a clean version, because I said, honestly, I would have been, you know, broadcast your skill base in showing the world your talent, but I can't. You letting them fly, and I'm like, yo, I can't attach, you know, I can't attach that right now. I mean, and I'm saying the things that you are trying, I mean, where God intends you to be and where He wants to take you, yo, trust, you're gonna have to make that decision and just say, listen, I'm not going to fit in. I'm gonna stand out.
Yeah.
And you tell me what stands out amongst a crowd of tatted up, expletive using, indulging to the point where you are full blown inebriated.
Mhm.
You tell me what stands out that cauldron of craziness. Is it going to
Mhm.
be the untatted, I mean, well versed lyrically, who's sober minded? Yo, that's going to be, you're gonna, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a person that's going to stand out, and I
Yeah.
think he's getting depicted on that.
That's like well, I'm a big fan of battle rap, and now
Yeah.
there are Christians in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where they gain a lot of respect because their vocabulary has to be better
Yeah.
because they're trying to, I guess, go against the opponent and not curse,
Mm.
and that's hard. The other rappers can't do that.
Mm-mm.
But that gains you more respect because they're saying,
Mm-hmm.
like, you got to do something, and they're not talking about shooting and guns. That's all the
Mm-hmm.
worldly rappers do. They they find a new way to say they're gonna shoot you.
Yeah,
So
basically. Yeah.
so so if you can show your opponent and outclass your opponent
Mm,
and not do that and not curse,
mm,
it shows a different level of lyricism and just your
yeah.
pen's different. So yeah, no, I
Yeah,
know what you mean.
definitely. I like that. You said your pen different. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think I think 106 in Park really showed us what happens when you take a person who's used to, expletives in his verses and then forcing them not to get, it's just like, you can tell you are uncomfortable
Yeah.
until you run into somebody like Blind Fury, and
Mhm.
that brother,
That was
he
crazy.
yeah, he can go
Mhm.
with no cursing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man.
But yeah, nah, God's good. I know what you mean.
Mm,
But yeah, I'm gonna put that video out. So we're gonna be
yeah,
chopping that up, man. It was a good discussion. So we're gonna
heck
keep
yeah.
going with that elder, man. No,
Mm.
I don't think he was the elder. He just a Jehovah Witness. So
I don't think if he was gonna tell you.
yeah, nah, probably not. So anything you guys want to say before we close out?
Hey man, we're coming up to a new year. We are finally entering the dystopian future of 2022. Like,
Mm,
you used to watch those in the movies, just like, man, it's gonna be raining all the time in
mm,
2022. we got hoverboards, we got flying cars, and all we got
crazy.
right now is just a whole bunch of talks about jabs and
Yeah, new
illicit
strains.
and new strains. As Joe Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe, who Jim Crow Biden would say, he's like, the Omicron
Mm,
is upon us. I was like, yo, he got to sound like a transforming.
No, I thought that was the villain of the last Transformer movie. I thought that was the
Oh
villain.
my, yo, this my man straight
crazy.
out of a Transformer movie. Yo, man, get that brother some sleep. He needs some melatonin. He needs something.
Something.
That brother
Yeah.
need a nap. That's what he need. But yeah, we're coming up on it, and I'm excited, man. Excited to kind of get this thing to the forefront. We're gonna see a lot of people. A lot of people. I think a lot of people gonna fall. But I think during that time period, there's a lot of truth that's gonna be um brought out, and I'm excited for that because to me, to be on the right side of that movement where truth is actually being exposed and and brought forth, I wouldn't want to be on the other side of the aisle of that, especially when things are starting to be rewound and played back for you in order for for judgment to come about. So um, I'm
Yeah.
hoping that everybody can stay vigilant and continue to kind of move forward in where they need to be, as always. And then as we enter this new year soon, like, yo, we all gotta, that's that linking arms right on the front lines, because it's gonna get sticky. But
Amen.
ain't nobody phased by it though. I think I saw that one scene from it sucks that it came from Jay-Z, but the harder they fall, he said, what did he say? He says, "Oh, we're between a rock and a hard place." He says, "Shoot, man, a rock and a hard place for us. That's called a That's called a Monday." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
hey, so we can power through these turbulent times because we know who we serve. So that's what's up.
Amen. Yeah, anything's possible. Anything's possible with the Lord. So
Mhm.
now, hopefully, people have been encouraged, have learned something about the witnesses from this broadcast. I'm gonna release this video, and then we'll be with you guys soon.
Amen.
Thank you, Fabian, for coming on. Thank you, Brother
Yeah.
Jay, for coming out. It's definitely been a pleasure. Until
Salute.
next time, God is good. Stay
Amen.
close to him, cling to him, and like you said, remember who we serve. Jesus is enough.
Amen.
All right, brothers, I'll be in contact.
All right, brother.
God was with me through it all.